Yo, I tried to make this video yesterday. It didn't come out good. Didn't come out the way that I wanted it to. So I'm gonna make another one right now. And I want to talk about the weirdness of a boxing gym. Martial arts gyms in general. But specifically boxing gyms. So my experience in martial art gyms have been predominantly in boxing gyms. A few Brazilian jiu-jitsu gyms, and then a couple martial arts gyms. But now I'm a 29-year-old young man, and since I was about 12, 13 years of age, I started attending boxing gyms. And I think the earliest I could remember where I started to get an understanding at about 13 years of age that boxing gyms are interesting, weird, particular, political, kind of like snake pit-ish, vulture-y, you know, like very, a lot of vultures like to hover around and within boxing gyms. And so the earliest I could remember was another boxing gym coming into spar at my boxing gym. And my first boxing coach, my first trainer, was a man named Jimmy Ralston. Ralston. You could look him up right now. I looked him up for the first time in a while yesterday. I thought he was undefeated, but apparently he has one loss. So he was 19-1. He had one knockout, which I'm a little bit surprised about the knockout. I thought he had more knockouts, because he definitely, when he was training me, he was an older gentleman, and like a very older gentleman. And one of his tricks is when he would throw, he'd make that noise, right? And as he's throwing his punch, he would hit his chest. So he's I didn't do it good enough. You know, he'd be like, and I remember as a young kid seeing it. It's a little trick, you know what I mean? As a young kid seeing it and hearing it, I was like, wow, this dude's got crazy power, you know? But then I found out yesterday he's only got one knockout. So when another boxing gym came into spar, which would happen frequently, and this happens throughout the entire boxing community, obviously, but also because my trainer was who he was, he had his foot in the door heavily within the area I was training at, Buffalo, New York. And man, I could vividly recall the first gym that I started training at. It was within such a beautiful gym. It was like it was a private gym that was within kind of like a business building, and very affluent people worked out at the gym. And the boxing gym was within, but it wasn't like a part of the gym, but it was within the gym. And the boxing gym itself was very nice as well. And I can't quite think of how legally my man's afforded, I think he had to have either been sponsored, or he used some of the money he got caught up with to rent out that boxing gym, pay for some of the equipment. So when another boxing gym came into spar, you start seeing like these people aren't your friends, but then by the end of the boxing match, depending on who did better, they are your friend. and all of a sudden they start telling you where their gym is, and you know how they like to train their fighters, and how you're always invited to come check them out. And you know, so yesterday in the video I mentioned that, and I was trying to find the clip for y'all, and eventually I will find it and I will post it. But Mike Tyson, I thought he mentioned it on Rogan, but he must have just mentioned it on his podcast or in an interview. He's talking about Cus D'Amato. He was talking about, I think he even said this to begin with. I think he was like, yo, some dude came up to me and he said, great fight. And, or what did he say? You looked real good out there. And, how did Mike Tyson phrase it, man? He's like, oh, you want to be his friend? You like him like that? Or like almost on some homo, I feel like. You know, like he was almost like, what, you want him to be your boyfriend? Why are you taking compliments like that from somebody? And that, but this is the important part, is he said Cus D'Amato walked right over to the guy and he said, you don't ever talk to my fighter ever again. You stay the fuck away from my fighter. And Mike Tyson said it was because of Cus D'Amato's paranoia, that people have done that in the past. And that's a notorious thing within the boxing community, is that, you know, as a fighter, you know, the only obligation you have to your team, to your trainer, to your coach, is a moral obligation, and is an obligation of loyalty. Because, you know, you might come across somebody who has more, you know what another great example of this is, guys, is TJ Dillashaw, right? And the whole alpha male, and what did his coach's name end up being? I forget his coach's name, that he ended up leaving alpha male to go train with that other coach. But sometimes someone might approach you, and you know, boxing is used to be the poor man's sport, and so boxers had nothing. And typically, you know, one of the main boxing gyms I grew up in was a shithole, complete shithole. Bags filled of ripped up duct tape, equipment that smells like complete shit, a fucking worn out, dirty rope that was hung above your head so you could do slip drills, a fucking ring the size of your closet that was just put together with duct tape. And you know, luckily it was some canvased material, but just dirty. You know, just a worn out speed bag, and like, you know, a real shitty jump rope. Bring your own jump rope. And the owner of that gym would just chain smoke cigarettes in the basement. So for all you young fighters out there, you have to understand that, and this goes for everybody in the gym, every single person within the gym. Boxing, mixed martial arts, is the most selfish sport on the planet. And you have to be careful with who you choose to interact with, who you choose to surround yourself by within this sport, and how you choose to go about your career and your personal journey. Because it's one thing to work with somebody and for them to work with you, but it's a different thing for somebody to use somebody, and even for you to use them. So be careful, guys. This is a dangerous sport, and this sport has lifelong repercussions. Is that the right word? Repercussions come with this sport. And you know, sometimes you feel pressured into doing certain things within the gym. And it's really tough, especially at a young age. But ultimately, at the end of the day, guys, if you're paying your gym membership, nobody could say shit to you. And maybe the owner ends up not liking you. Or some of the people within the gym, they end up kind of like outcasting you. Or maybe, maybe the owner even asks you to leave. Then that's something you're going to have to take on the chin, and you're going to have to do your best to go find somebody else. And again, boxing is a poor man's sport. And so the boxing gym that I was just referencing, the shithole where homeboy would chain smoke cigarettes, the only thing I really needed there was sparring partners. And if you're hooked up with the right trainer, you'll find sparring partners no matter what. You could even find them on your own accord. But, the reason why I attend my boxing gym every day, despite not necessarily needing it, because I could do even a heavy bag. I bought, I think, I guess it's only a 60-pounder heavy bag from Dick's, but I would hang it up at the park, right on a tree branch, and I'd get my work in like that. Other than a heavy bag, the only thing the gym has that I need, other than, of course, my coach, is sparring partners, is training partners. But I go there every day to hold myself accountable and to kind of interact with the energy inside of a gym. You know what I mean? Because there is energy within the gym. But for somebody like me, a martial artist, dude, I get my money in wherever I'm at. However I'm at. Whenever I'm at, Did I already say where? So be careful, y'all. Sparring is not fighting. Fighting is not sparring. Doesn't matter what nobody tells you. And you know what? Shout out to David the Redneck Mundell. Okay? Because that dude knows how to spar. A lot of people who you spar with are not sparring. And y'all got to be careful of this. Because, shout out to Coach Stefan as well. You're nobody's punching bag. And I feel like I haven't heard somebody say that in a very long time. And I certainly can't even recall somebody saying that to me. Usually I'm the hammer. I'm not typically the nail. But that might be why. But shout out Coach Stefan, because you're nobody's punching bag. Nobody's punching bag. Alright, y'all. Take that and run with it. Peace.